As you listen to the Passion narrative this year on Good Friday, I know that it will sound familiar. We hear it year after year after year, but we are still so often gripped by the tragedy of this story. And how could we not be? Throughout this story, as told by John, we hear again the broken moments of betrayal of Judas and also of Peter, who denies Jesus 3 times, claiming that he does not know who Jesus is. We see the way that a justice system is broken to serve specific purposes. After all, who would send a savior to death in order to free one who murdered like Barabbas? Only a broken and unjust system. And that system is brought forth by riots, anger by those who do not know what their anger is going to cause. And even still, on a societal level, we witness how the Roman guard, the Roman government, and the high priests of Jerusalem work together to achieve a certain end. Only power systems that are bent on its own way could flex their muscle like we see in John. This is a tragedy of the first order. And if we listen to this story again and don't remind ourselves of Easter in a couple days, I don't think we can do anything else but grieve what is going on. And of course, we grieve our Savior being put to death, but we also grieve all the many ways that worlds are ending. I can't imagine the pain that Peter felt immediately after the rooster crowed, and he knew that indeed he had betrayed his Savior. I can't imagine what it would be like to be one of the many in the crowd to have watched this happen, whether you are on the side that desires Jesus crucified or whether you are one who is grieving his death. You can't help but watch what tragedy is unfolding. It moves us in ways that we might not ordinarily expect, in particular if we just find ourselves all too quickly moving from Palm Sunday to Easter and not taking time to mark Good Friday. And it seems that this Good Friday, more than any, is particularly poignant because we too are in a moment of deep grief. We may not realize it, of course. We may not have to be worried right now about someone who is ill with the virus that we're dealing with right now. We may not feel it right at hand, but there are so many ways right now that we are dealing with deep grief. Our lives that we expected to live just a few weeks ago have gone. We are not the people we thought we were going to be. We have lost them. And so the tragedy that we find in John is not too dissimilar from our own, that the world that we expected, the world we hoped for, is not there anymore. We cannot do the things we hoped for. We cannot be folks who go out to restaurants. We can't be folks who can easily get toilet paper, for goodness sakes. And we also can't be folks that, for instance, would gather together on a Holy Week, on a Good Friday, and worship together. And if we spend too much time moving our way too quickly from the Good Friday that we witness now into Easter Sunday, we lose an opportunity for the gift to be open to grief. God grants us an opportunity to grieve in this moment. And so it's okay to be hurt. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to worry. It's okay to mourn deeply the losses that we have, even if they're not obvious ones, even if they're not the ones that we so easily can bring to the surface. I imagine Peter, as soon as he knew what he had done, entered into a period of deep grief. He may have been angry. He may have been hurt. And yet he grieved. However, we also cannot just leave ourselves in this moment of grief, for all around us there are signs that are pointing to resurrection even now. There are times that we witness in this story that the beloved disciple opens up his heart and his home to Jesus' mother. That wouldn't happen otherwise, but here in this moment of grief, God is working with the people in the story to bring grace and to bring hope. So, friends, we must grieve. We cannot move so quickly out of this moment that we do not feel the pain that this time in our lives has brought. To do so means that we may ignore the deepest parts that hurt us so deeply. And it means that the restoration and the resurrection to come might feel flat. After all, what meaning does Easter Sunday have without witnessing Good Friday and sitting in the silence of Holy Saturday? But in those moments, friends, are hope. Hope that we might not feel right now, but hope that we can believe in. And that, my friends, is faith. So as you listen to this Good Friday story once again, with ears that you may not have any other time, I invite you to open your hearts to the grief of this moment as you witness the betrayal and death of our Savior, knowing, indeed, that there will be a resurrection soon. But before we get there, allow yourself, even just a moment, to grieve. Maybe now's the time to write some of these things. What are the things that you feel you've lost? I know I've lost the chance to be able to gather with you today. I've lost the chance to shake your hand, to give you a hug, to pat you on the back, to have eye contact that's closer than 6 feet away. And I grieve that even now. I grieve that our best option is recordings in an office. But yet, I know that at this moment, I can worship with you. I am worshiping with you. And there will be a time when we will worship again together. But not yet. Do not let Good Friday and Holy Saturday pass you by, only to get to Easter too soon. Let this moment wash over you, and let this be a good grief. Brothers and sisters, hear now the word according to John.